since 17th is the last day for submission of entries to the creative practice for the creative practices, and we have large number of entries pouring in. And of course, I mean, looking at the quality of creativity, looking at the creativity and the original aspect of it, it is very encouraging. It is, I mean, we find it so nice that children are utilizing their time in the best possible way. These are such beautiful, uh, you know, masterpieces that have been submitted. And I'm sure 20th is going to be a big day for celebration. Sri Lakshmi's, mm, uh, painting, uh, beautiful. I mean, every woman who awakens courage within herself is Durga. This is so nice, lovely. And we have, yes, okay. So, of course, a short video of a young man who has been growing small forests in urban team of young and enthusiastic people who care. This is something really good, that is so nice, wonderful. I mean, I find it really looks, the generation is the younger generation is so awakened about all the aspects about how to care for nature, how to care for human beings. It is something. It's a real feast to humanity that the uh, the budding engineers, the young engineers are so sensitive towards all these aspects, and this is something which gives a lot of motivation to the complete human race. If one person is doing something right, the people around them also get motivated to move into the same shoes, to step into the same shoes, and follow the same steps. So this is something so good. Of course, we can see the attendees joining in, and today, as we can see, for the literary activities at 2 o'clock, we have Rajat ji joining us. You can see his photograph right in the middle with this black blazer. So he's going to enlighten us with his uh, words, with his knowledge, and in fact, he's going to talk about structure of Sanskrit Varnamala. So this is the alphabetical order in Sanskrit. And though as a teacher, we all must have studied Sanskrit when we were young. And even the students who are with us, the participants, I'm sure at some point of time, most of the schools do appreciate Sanskrit in their junior school, and children learn a lot. I mean, not a lot, but a little bit of Sanskrit uh, in the school days as well. So, and getting to know the depth of it is something really so wonderful. Even the morning session which we had today, uh, I mean, there were so many things which I never thought were so structured. Professor Amba Kulkarni ji, she enlightened us on uh, on an aspect which was really unknown to a common person. And this is how, when we get enriched about Indian knowledge system, it it gives us a lot of confidence. It gives us a lot of way to look forward into what all can we do, what all can we study, how all can we frame our own growth in future. Now, when we look at all the gentlemen, all the resource persons we've had for the literary activities, as I'm sure most of the participants have seriously known, that most of these gentlemen have been hardcore engineers from very good engineering background, and and worked all across the globe, and finally are focusing their total energy into the Indian knowledge system. Once you get to know what our history has been, what our tradition has been, you everybody gets curious about it, and finally you learn more about yourself, more about our heritage, and that gives us a real feeling of being a good race, being a humanity with such a rich culture, being a humanity with being a race with so much of depth into our learning. And this is what we are trying to do through the student induction program, wherein of course we are motivating, we are telling every aspect of the young engineers as to how rich our system has been, so that we all do a bit of learning at our end. Each day we know is a learning, of course, and being an engineer, studying engineering is definitely the foremost aspect into which you have to look into. But apart from that, doing a little bit of literature, doing a bit of learning into Indian knowledge system, that gives you an edge, or that gives you another horizon to look into and to uh, channelize your energy into. And uh, and and somewhere or the other it motivates each one of us to know more about our heritage. And this is what we do from 2 to 3, the literary activity uh, session that we have. And we are doing a lot of it. we are and we are in we are moving ahead with another session today, and from 16th to 19th of November, the second part of our SIP session, we are going to have, of course, Dr. Rajat with us today, and then we'll be having Dr. Arjun Bharadwaj with us tomorrow, and we'll be having another session with Yashodeep Devdharji, and of course, and Dr. Rajat is going to talk a lot about introduction to Indian astronomy in 3 of his forthcoming sessions on 18th, 19th, and 19th itself. So I think it's already 2, and participants are joining in. Uh, so I think, uh, BN Bhaiya, shall we wait for a minute or two, or shall we just start off? Of course, I extend a warm welcome to our resource person, Dr. Rajat, is already with us. Yes, Bhaiya, shall we start? Because
Namaste, madam. Very good. Very
Namaste,
good.
namaste. Namaste, we are looking forward to your session. Uh,
Thank you so much. Same. I hope I'm audible.
yes, perfectly audible. So let me, because see, the students are still joining in, but let me take another 2-3 minutes to give a formal introduction, and then we can begin with the session. All right. Uh, Good afternoon, everyone, and namaste to everyone. We have with us our resource person for the day, uh, Dr. Rajat Vasudeva Murthy. Dr. Rajat is an assistant professor in the Department of Electronics Engineering, BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. Dr. Rajat is a PhD from IISc, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Of course, Bachelor in Electronics Engineering, Bachelor in Electronics and Communication Engineering from RVCE. Worked at Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Bangalore campus, Pennsylvania State University, State College, USA, KTH Royal Institute of Technology, Stockholm, Sweden, research interest, VLSI, circuits and systems, and passionate about Indian knowledge system. So this is what we have to say in brief about Dr. Rajat. And I think there's a lot behind this brief note. So we'll be directly listening to Dr. Rajat. A very warm welcome to you, sir. And of course, the participants are waiting to listen to your session. So I put my words to rest. And now it's over to you, Dr. Rajat.
Thank you so much for the kind words. Can I share my screen?
Please.
Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. So good afternoon and welcome to this session. So today I thought let me just talk a little bit about the structure of the Sanskrit alphabet. And just a disclaimer to begin with. So nobody is to get discouraged that there's only Sanskrit, but all Indian languages more or less follow the structure, right? That is why I just titled it as Sanskrit, just to be precise. That is all. All right. So just a second. Yeah. Okay. I hope this is better. All right. So I'm sure there are some student participants here have been following the other sessions as well. People are interacting quite a lot. So can someone tell me then what is a language? You can either type in the chat window or you can unmute yourself if you have the access to mic, and then you can tell me. So can someone tell me then? Can I look forward to some answer? What do you mean by language?
Yes, sir. I would like to answer.
Please.
So, a language is a medium through a medium which is understood by a group of individuals or by a group of individuals in order to communicate what they want to convey.
All right. Okay. So people here are either engineers or they're going to be engineers, right? So I would like to expect a more concrete answer. Okay. So can you refine? Can anybody attempt to refine it? Of course, what you said is correct. Maybe probably that is what people usually think about or say when the talk comes about language. But being engineers, I'm looking for, at least I'm going to present what I feel is a little more engineering kind of a definition. All right, at this point, let me take this opportunity and say that, among all the cultures of the world, probably our culture or our civilization is the only one which has spent some time thinking about two aspects, which is not so easy. And that is why we find that not many civilizations have done this. One of them is the language, analysis of language, and another is analysis of the mind. Okay, so therefore, that is one of the uniqueness of the Indian civilization, and I thought maybe some of those aspects we can focus today. All right, I guess yoga you will anyway cover in some parts in the other modules. So I thought maybe in this literary module we can talk something about the language. Okay, so that was a good definition, not bad at all. But is there any?
Speak something about language?
Yes, please go ahead.
So this is Jaspreet Kaur. So according to me, language is the way of express ourselves. A system of conventional spoken, manual signed, or written symbols by means of which human beings, as a member of and participant in its culture, can explain themselves.
Oh, okay, that's a really long one. All right, and I guess that a couple of things have also got mixed up there. Anyhow, thanks for participating. So this is what how I look at it. I look upon language as a mapping. I look upon language as a mapping between speech and its meaning. Okay, so you know that speech is sound, but all sound is not speech. So in the human vocal cord, we get a certain specific sound which we call as speech, which is intelligible, which we can use to communicate our ideas. So that's what I call as a speech. That is a particular sound and its meaning. All right. So for example, a person who knows English and who is listening to me, they will be able to make out what is the meaning of the sounds which I am generating. But suppose somebody who is in the audience who doesn't know English, right? They are hearing the same sound, but they are not able to get the meaning. All right. So therefore, I would like to look upon language as a mapping between speech and meaning. Okay. So a person knowing the language means he will know if he hears this particular sound or the sequence of sounds, he will know what is the meaning. All right. Is it okay? Any feedback about this? I don't think you may not find this in any textbook. Even I did not look up any textbook to write it, but it's just something which comes out of the understanding.
Yes, sir.
So if somebody is available, you can comment on this. What do you think? And note very carefully, I'm just bringing two things. One is speech, another is meaning. I'm not talking about script, written letter or word or anything, right? So speech, it could be a word, it could be a sentence, it could be even a single letter, right? So I'm putting it in general as speech. Okay, so any comments, any discussions you want to have on this definition? Do you think it's adequate? Do you feel something is missing?
So does the language always have to have a script? Because we have seen earlier in the past that we have had
Yeah.
languages without scripts.
Correct. Good that you brought it up. Yeah, that is why in this definition, I completely don't want to talk about script, although we will in a short while from now.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but what do you feel about this definition? Do you think it's sufficient? Do you think I'm missing something?
Hello.
Yeah. So maybe whoever is talking, maybe you can slightly introduce yourself because I'm not able to see who is talking. You can
So
just
my
tell
name
your...
is Anusha.
Hello.
And
Yeah, great. Please.
Hello, sir.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
Please go ahead.
yes, Dr. Manjula, please. Ma'am, you can put forward your views, please.
Hello. Yeah. Sir,
Hello, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead. Or maybe I think if you are having issues with the mic, maybe you can, even type it in the chat window. We can look at it later and answer. Okay, I was just looking for a specific feedback on this particular definition. Do you think
I
I'm
think,
missing
sir,
something?
sir, I think from this point of view, it is educate to what to
All right.
determine as a language.
All right, great. So we have about 1 hour more. So if you feel I've missed something, you please let me know. All right. So this is also kind of an
Sure, sir, sure.
Great. So let me say, as a what should we say, as a strengthener to this particular definition, I pick up one particular shloka. This is from Kalidasa, one of his works. This is the very first shloka which he puts forth. He says, "Vagartha viva samprutau vagartha jagatah pitarau vande Parvati Parameshwaram." All right. So this is some parts of it you may have already understood, right? He's basically offering his salutations to Parvati and Parameshwara, who he says are the parents of the entire creation. But he is making another beautiful connection here. He's saying, how are Parvati and Parameshwara? They are inseparable, right? How inseparable are? If you look at the first two words, you will get an idea. He says, Vak Artha. Vak is speech, Artha is its meaning. Okay, so he's saying just as how you will not be able to separate speech and its meaning, that is Vak and Artha, right? That is how Parvati and Parameshwara are. Okay, and
Rajat sir, may I just request you to put it in presentation mode because we are getting the whole screen with everything.
Oh,
Is it possible?
Let me check.
Yes.
Rajat sir, please stop sharing.
So what should I do?
Okay.
Okay.
Then you share window, not screen. You share just one window, not full screen.
Not getting that particular option here. I will maybe
You share screen?
just share a portion of the screen.
G. Okay.
Is it any better now?
No.
It's extremely zoomed in. We can't see the full slide.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, is it improving?
It's zoomed in on one corner now. Okay, now it's fine.
All right, is it okay?
Yeah, now
Yes,
it's
sir.
fine.
Now it's
Yes,
fine.
sir.
Okay, right, fine. Yeah, so as I was saying, I was just trying to briefly explain that particular shloka by Kalidasa. I hope you are able to listen to it. Right, he's basically saying that Parvati and Parameshwara are inseparable just as Vak and Artha, namely speech and its meaning. Okay. Now let me quickly come to the next question. What do you think is the basic unit of a language, right? So whenever we talk of any language, you have words, you have sentences, you have paragraphs, and so on and so forth. So what do you think is the basic unit of a language?
Letters.
Sounds.
Sound, okay. But as I just mentioned, every sound will not constitute a language, right?
Is that letters or alphabet, sir?
Okay, so one is
Vowels.
Any other answer?
So we had this definition. वर्ण भाषा की सबसे छोटी इकाई होती है. So
okay,
it's
Varna
the
is
smallest unit.
Good, fine. Varna. All right. Any other answer?
Vowels.
Sorry?
Vowels.
Oval. Okay. That is another subset of Varna or letter, right? All right. Any other answer? See, as engineers, you should think of one thing. Whenever you give a definition, you define something, you define a particular entity. Whatever comes later, it should be in consonance. It should be in a continuation. It should be in agreement with what you have already said, right? So if you look at what I've said language is a mapping between speech and meaning. Speech and its meaning, of course, right? And I ask you, what is the basic unit of such a language? And people are here telling me letters or vowels, right? So I'm not even spoken of vowels when I spoke of a language. All right. And I have told language is a mapping between speech and meaning. All right. So if you take a single letter or a vowel or a varna, as we say in Indian languages, what is the meaning of a varna? Does it have a meaning at all? Correct? So therefore, I have defined a language in a certain way. When I ask you what is the basic unit of a language, it has to be in consonance with that. Correct? So, okay. So let me, so there are three options which I just mentioned, right? You have a word, and we know word has an associated meaning with it, right? So that is kind of obvious. Then you put a certain group of words together, you get a sentence, and the sentence should also have a particular meaning, right? Otherwise, there is no use speaking. And then you put a group of sentences together, there you have a paragraph. Okay, so among the three, which one do you think is the basic unit of a language?
Word.
The word.
All right, okay. Any other answer? Anybody saying word is not a fundamental unit, but sentence is? Anybody saying that?
Sentence is basically a string of words put together, right? And paragraph is a string of sentences put together. So it's word.
Yes. Okay, so I guess most of you are then agreeing that word is the basic unit of language. And probably the reason being that the word is the smallest among the three which I've given as options. Shall I take that as a concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great, all right. But we know that a word can have multiple meanings, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. If I just say a bank, it could mean a place where you store your money. It could be a river bank, right? Or these days,
Yes,
you are technology savvy, you could also think of a power bank. All right. So how do you know if I just say bank, are you satisfied? Are you happy? Which bank are you talking about? Correct?
A word will get its meaning when it's placed in a sentence.
Correct.
Otherwise, it's a meaningless string of sounds just randomly put together.
can have multiple meanings, as I just said. Right? You can have multiple meanings. Of course, I'm not belittling, or I'm not so there are, in our tradition, there are both schools of thought. Some people have said word is the fundamental unit of a language. There are some people who argue that way, because you put a string of words together and then you get a sentence, right? So if you don't know the individual meaning of the word, you'll not be able to make a sentence. Correct? So I don't say that that is totally invalid. That is there. But just as a counter argument, there are other people who have also said that sentence is the basic unit of a language. All right, because as I said, a single word can have multiple meanings. Particular meaning will get fixed in a particular context, and usually the sentence is the one which will give you the context. Although you can argue that paragraph will give you the context, but the sentence is the smallest one, which can help you to fix the meaning of every word.
Okay.
All right, but both points of view are there. Okay, so it depends. In certain places, you feel strongly that word is the basic unit, but in certain other places, you feel very strongly that sentence is the basic unit. All right. Anyhow, but okay, and then you have a paragraph also. All right. Now, the important thing is, of course, answering the question was not so much important, just to get you thinking. All right, and then we have huge areas of knowledge, right, which talk about each one of them. Okay, so that part of the Shastra which analyzes every word in detail will be called as Pada Shastra, or it is also called Vyakarana. Okay, loosely in English, we would call it grammar. All right. But personally, I would refrain from using English words for these terms as much as possible, because we never know, right? English itself has come from Latin, and then there are a lot of influences in Europe which has happened. It's a totally different cultural context. So what they call as grammar, we really don't know if it is going to map to Vyakaran. For that matter, any other word. Right. So if you are very, very specific about a particular term in our Shastra, it is better to stick to the Sanskrit word. All right. Or any other Indian language word for that matter. All right. Then we come to a sentence, which is called Vakya. And we have another science which will help you how to analyze a sentence. Okay. So that is called as the Mimamsa Shastra. Okay. So many places you may have also heard, if you are in Kashi or some traditional places, if you are visiting certain mathas, sometimes they announce the programs called as Vakyartha Sadas. Right? Have you heard? Have any of you heard such things? Right. So essentially, they are getting together to discuss the meaning of a sentence. All right, Vakyartha. All right. So that particular branch is called as Mimamsa. Mimamsa essentially means analysis, but Mimamsa will stick to Mimamsa. Then when you have a paragraph, you're putting a lot of sentences together. And what is the logic behind putting them together, right? So that is what is important. So the logic. All right. So that is called as Nyaya or Pramana. Pramana essentially means evidence, but Nyaya Shastra usually talks a lot about Pramana. So just put it together. So these are the main three streams which you have to be conversant with if you are looking at any literary text. Okay, so Vyakarana or grammar or Pada Shastra is going to help you understand each word, how it is constructed, how it is made up, how you should understand its meaning. That is at the level of the word and also the letters. Then there is Mimamsa, which will help you to understand every sentence. And then there is Nyaya or logic or Pramana Shastra, which will help you to extract the meaning from paragraphs. All right. So here is another similar shloka. This comes in Shankara Bhashya's introduction to the Taittiriya Upanishad. So here he says, Yairime Guru Bhiv Purvam Pada Vakya Pramanatah. So this is my catchphrase, Pada Vakya Pramanatah Vyakhyata Sarva Vedanta Stanityam Pranatosmiham. Okay. So here again, the Acharya is offering salutations to his gurus and Guru Parampara. So what have they done? They have employed all these three shastras, right? Pada, Vakya, Pramana. Okay, all the three. They have employed grammar. They have employed the, sometimes this Mimamsa, they call it as hermeneutics also, although I don't like translating that much. There is a lot of work on biblical so maybe you can take it as a loose equivalent, but essentially it is just an or textual analysis. How do you do that? Okay. Then Pramana logic. So they have employed all these three techniques and expounded the Upanishads or Vedanta. And to do such, all right. So all the three are important. That's all. My intention here is to discuss. Hello, if somebody is there available to interact, what do you think is a word?
Word is a collection of letters. Which...
Okay, word is the group of letters. Somebody wants to say that?
Yes, sir.
Word is a collection of sounds put together. But that is a shabd. Shabd is basically a collection of sounds put together. But this when a shabd makes
all right.
sense.
Yeah, so maybe that is obvious. But so one of the main important acharyas who gave us the Vyakarana Shastra, Panini defines a word in a very clear-cut manner. He calls it. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Cancel it, sir.
Sir, the screen has.
Your presentation
Your
has.
presentation has disappeared, sir. And
something happened. Yeah.
There is some problem.
Okay, let me share again.
Okay,
Yes.
now it's visible.
Yes, now it's visible.
How about now?
Yes, sir.
It's
Visible,
fine.
sir.
Okay. So I was saying, Panini, foremost Vyakarana, he has composed his sutra, which is called as Ashtadhyayi, simply because he has composed it in 8 chapters. All right, and there he defines a word as this particular aphorism or sutra. Padam. So he says pada, we call it word, something which has sup or a thing at its end. Okay, sup tigantam padam. Okay, so whenever a word ends with the sup, you will get a noun, and whenever it ends with the thing, you get a verb. All right. Yes, already we are 20 minutes into the presentation, so let me. All right. So I guess this is the Sanskrit Varnamala, which is anyway common to most of Indian languages. So I guess you're all very much familiar with it. Okay, but here I'm just trying to introduce you to the structure of this. All right. So first row, you can recognize pretty much it's all the vowels which are there. And I guess the Devanagari Lipi, I guess.
Sir, not perfectly audible.
So your video is lagging. Audio and
Not
video is
perfectly audible, sir.
As well,
Maybe
sir.
I hear that in Tamil Nadu somehow they are not introduced.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
Rajat, sir?
Okay. Is it better now?
So you're frozen.
It's fine now, but in between there's a lot of lagging in you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Please
now
later.
it's fine. It sounds fine now.
I see. Probably because of the network. So shall I just turn off my video so that we will save some
yes, that'll be better if you turn off the video.
Would that help?
Maybe we'll save a lot of bandwidth. Yes. We are not able to hear you. Yes.
Okay, so so I'm just using the Devanagari Lipi here just to Okay, so I guess most of the people in India will be familiar with the Devanagari. Maybe in Tamil Nadu, some people may not have come across. For their benefit, I've just given in the Roman script as well. Okay, so so here you can see. So basically, my intention here, I guess, it's not to tell you all the various varnas as somebody was saying, but it's just to point out to you what is the origin of these particular sounds or these letters. All right. So here again, I'm going back to Panini. And Panini has given a certain, what shall we say, abbreviations, where he says this kavarga which is there, ka, kha, ga, ga, nga, he calls them for short as ku. Ku. Okay, so this particular one, ku. Similarly, this cha, ro as chu, tu, tu, pu, and so on. So all the Vargiya Vyanjanas, he has a beautiful abbreviation, right? Then he defines what are the places of origin of each of these varnas. Okay. So he says, Akuha Visarjaniyanam Kantha. Okay. Is this Swara Of course, the Dirgha also is included in this. So then Ku, that is the entire Kavarga. Okay, Ha, that is this letter. You know, to like a colon, we write these two dots, right? That kind of thing. All these varnas is the Kantha, which is here at the base of the tongue. Okay, so that is where all these varnas are going to originate. Okay, and then similarly, next we have Ichu Yashanam Tanu. So E includes the Dirgha version as well, E. And then Chu stands for the entire Chavarga, Cha, Cha, Ja, Ja, Nya. And then Yakara, this Ya, and then Sha, this is the Shankara Sha, palette. Okay, you can see here. That is slighter in the
Lost you, sir.
Yeah, the video is
Yes.
not there.
Sir's connected. Rajat, sir? Yes. Sir's trying to get connected. Yes, you're connected now. But we are not able to hear you.
Mic is off right now.
Rajat, sir?
It got muted, yeah.
Yes.
So I was saying the next set of letters.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we are able to.
Right. Okay. So the next set of letters, that is E and the Chavarga, Ichusha, the Shankarasha. Yeah. So they will come from the soft palate. Okay. So that is slightly higher in the mouth, above the throat. Then the next set of varnas, the Rutu Rashanam Murdha. Okay. We have the R. And then we have the Tavarga, Dharna, and then Sha. This is the Shanmukha Sha. So I will come from the Murdha or the hard palate. This is also the highest point in the mouth, if you notice. Okay. And this Rikara is some attention to getting the pronunciation right. Most people in the south would pronounce it as Ru. You know, in North India, most people would pronounce this as Ri, but both are not correct. Okay, it is R for Rishi, right? So Rigveda, right? So you have to have this, the tongue touching the highest point in the mouth, which is the it's called Murdha. Okay, or it's called the hard palate. Okay, it's going to be the highest point in the set of letters. We have Lritulasanam Danta. Again, this L is, of course, even in Sanskrit, its usage is very, very limited. And anyhow, Skara and Sa. Okay, for all these varnas, the place of origin of the sound even touches the back of the teeth. Okay, so you can see that very easily, right? So ta, tha, da, dha, na, and la and sa. Okay, and then the next set of letters we have u, that it includes both the longer version u, pu. Okay, pu is this pavarga. Pa, pa, ba. Come to that in a minute. Upadbhaniya. Among for all these letters, the All right. So you can pronounce and then you can make sure that you that where the particular sounds originate. Okay, so here I have to come to what is the Upadhmaniya. I will do that in a minute. Jifamulia. So this Upadhmaniya and Jifamulia are variants of the Visarga. And Upadhmaniya comes from the Ostav, that is the lips. And Jifamulia is another variant of the Upasarga, this Visarga. That comes from the Jihva Moolam. Okay, Moolam is basically the base or the root, and Jihva is the tongue. Okay, so let us look at what is this Upadhmaniya. Upadhmaniya is that particular Visarga which precedes a pa or a pa. Okay, pa pa. Whenever a Upasarga comes, Visarga comes before pa or pa, that particular Visarga, which I'm showing here in red color, that will be called as Upadhmaniya. So it's a variant of the Visarga. All right, so this is a very famous shloka, the first shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mamakah pandavaschaiva kima kurvata sanjaya. Okay, that Visarga pronunciation, please notice. Mamakah pandavaschaiva. Okay, so that Visarga is called as the Upadhmaniya, and the place of origin is the lips. Okay, so similarly, Jifamulyam is another variant of the Visarga. This particular variant is that Visarga which comes before the Ka or Kha. Okay, so this is again a very famous shloka from the Ramayana. I've just taken for an example. Manishada pratishtham tvamagama shashwati samaha yatkrauncha mithunadekam avadhi kama mohitam. Okay, so this particular Visarga, whenever they come in front of a Pakara or a Phakara and Ka or Kha, they have to be pronounced in a slightly different manner. That's why they are given different names called Upadhmaniya and Jihvamuliya respectively. All right, I hope I'm audible. All right, then continuing with the place of origin of some of the other vowels, we have Edaito. So the Ekara and Para. Okay, so to pronounce these two letters, A and I, Tha and the Talu. All right, because the A is obtained by a simultaneous addition of A and E. Okay, so therefore we need both the Kantha and the Talu. Similarly, O and Au, we need both the Kantha and Oshta, because O and Au are A and U together. Okay, then Vakara, whenever you say Va, we need both the Danta and the Oshta. Notice for yourself. All right. Right. So for this Kavarga, we had already said, for the Kavarga, it is the Kantha, but when you are saying this Nga, the Nasika also will get involved. Okay, so the nasal sound, these are the nasal ones. So you need the sound of the coming from the nose as well. Okay, and then this Anuswara is something which we had missed out. So this is purely a nasal sound. Okay, okay, that is how it is. All right, so at this point, maybe I'll pause for a minute, and if there are any questions, you may please ask.
Okay. I'll hand over the mic to a few.
So firstly, I should confirm that I'm audible.
So you're audible, though voice is lagging a little in between. But then
okay.
I'll actually, the participants as such do not have a mic facility, so I'm just providing them with
not a problem, not a problem.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
All right. So in the previous sessions, listening to some of the questions which people asked, and this was one of the interesting questions that I remember, where somebody asked, all right, so Indians had a lot of contributions in the science in the past. So what is the use of it knowing today, right? Other than just feeling proud. Okay, so here is one concrete example which I can share with you. So I guess people here have heard of Mendeleev, right? Who is famous for his proposal of the periodic table of the elements. So Mendeleev, as you know, was in Russia, and Mendeleev's friend was studying Sanskrit for some reason, we don't know. Okay, Mendeleev himself was not a scholar of Sanskrit. I don't know if he was particularly interested, but Mendeleev used to, talk to his friend who was studying or learning Sanskrit. All right, at that time, so Mendeleev, as you know, there was a strange thing which was happening in the in what Mendeleev was trying to do. For example, he was trying to develop this periodic table, but they had a kind of problem here in the sense that they understood that fluorine, chromine, bromine, iodine, what we today call as the halides, they have a particular behavior which is common between them. And also the other elements, for example, you could take, I don't know actually what elements they were using those days, but they were very familiar with the atomic weights. All right. So although the atomic weights of fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine properties. Okay. So this is what was puzzling Mendeleev, as he was wondering, how do I develop this particular periodic table? Then when Mendeleev's friend was talking about Sanskrit, he looked at this alphabet. And if you notice, in this alphabet, there is a certain two-dimensional structure out here. Right? If you look at this, you have ka, cha, ta, ta, pa, which are all the alpa pranas, which I will anyway elaborate later. And then you have ka, cha, ta, tha, pa, which are the mahapranas. Okay, so there is also a similarity here, column-wise, and the row-wise similarity I've already explained to you, right? They are in the places of origin of these sounds. All right, so there is this two-dimensional structure which is there at least for this Vargiya Vyanjana, so-called. So this thought, kind of inspired Mendeleev. Why don't I have a two-dimensional structure for the periodic table as well, right? And that thought really triggered, and then he was able to come up with a 2D structure. Okay, and one thing you should remember very clearly is this Mendeleev. He was he was doing this work in 1869. All right. So during 1869, most of the elements in what we today, whatever the periodic table is famous, most of these elements were not known back then. All right. He was just trying to fill in based on whatever elements they had back then. Okay. So for example.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes. Yes, Aditya, go ahead. You have something to say?
We've lost him. He's muted now. So maybe
Okay,
we'll
great.
Sir,
continue.
I have a doubt, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
Varshini.
Sir, we say that Sanskrit is the oldest language, but then why don't we learn up Sanskrit and why it's not compulsory, sir? Whereas our mother language.
All right. Anyway, okay, we'll come back to that later. Let me go through this presentation. All right. So here, what I was trying to say was Mendeleev was doing this work in the 1860s. And if you look into history, there was another person called Mayers. He was also trying to come up with a periodic table. But okay, now in hindsight, now we can say that Mendeleev had a friend who was learning Sanskrit, so maybe he was successful. But anyhow, that apart, what Mendeleev could do was he could predict the elements, okay, gallium, scandium, germanium. I've taken 3 examples. These elements were not known at the time Mendeleev was, building his periodic table. Okay, they came up much later, but he predicted that these elements would be discovered. And more interestingly, right, he called them with certain Sanskrit linked names, right? Gallium he called as Eka aluminium, all right? So for example, where is gallium? You can see here, gallium is below aluminium, right? In the same group. Okay, so he called it as Eka aluminium. Then scandium, where is scandium? Oh yeah, here. Okay, in 3rd B. But anyhow, he called it as Eka boron. Maybe that time they did not know this P and D block elements, but anyhow. So he called scandium as Eka boron. Notice Eka is 1 in Sanskrit, as you would recognize, right? And the germanium he called as Eka silicon. Okay, so you can see here, silicon and germanium are in the same group. Okay, so about this, you can just Google it up and read more for details if you are interested. All right. Okay. And so this structure of Sanskrit, inspired Mendeleev's periodic table of the elements, and over time that got developed, and we use it today also. All right. Okay, but interestingly, for some reason, the Latin or the Greek alphabet is lacking such a structure, right? We just get a series of letters, and then we are asked to just remember it, right? And then almost everything is organized in alphabetical order based on that order, although we don't know what is the reason for such a particular order. All right. So in that context, there was one school teacher in Canada. Okay, what's his name? Wim Borsboom. Okay, so he was teaching the English alphabet to his school children, and someone asked him, right? We just study this A, B, C, D, E. We don't know, vowels are interspersed, consonants are all over the place. There's no particular structure. It is just one string, right? There's capital letter, there's small letter. Why all this? What is the structure here? What is the logic? What is the reason? Okay, so then this Borsboom did not have any particular answer straight away. There is one interview of his just put up as a URL. You can just Google it up if you're interested later. So he says that one day in a coffee shop, he was just sipping a cup of coffee, and then this thought really bothered him. So what he did, he took a piece of paper and just wrote down this English alphabet, which we very well know, the ABCD. He wrote it up in this format, in a two-dimensional structure, right? Of course, you can say that he was trying to find some structure here. So maybe he has done something. Okay, so he just wrote it up in this format, and then you can see that the first column are all the vowels. Okay, second column, of course, we can't see any pattern right away, but what he did, this seemed interesting to him. So he did a lot of things. He went into Latin alphabet, how the letters got developed over time. For example, in Latin, there is no distinction between I and J. I and J are not two different letters. Similarly, this U, V, W are not different letters. So something research he did in history. And then, he came up with this small booklet, which he called Alphabet or Abracadabra, Reverse Engineering the Western Alphabet. Okay, he has a particular thesis. He says, originally the letters were organized in this form, and then something happened, and people forgot the structure, and then whatever remains today is just that one particular string of letters without any particular structure or logic behind it. Of course, that is his personal viewpoint, but I'm just saying that anybody who is exposed to even a little bit of Sanskrit, even the alphabet, they will start getting all these weird ideas, right? We never know whether Borsboom was correct or whether we'll be able to ever find it out. But that is something which bothered him. And it turns out that even Borsboom refers to one older work by one Vakankar called Ganesh Vidya, the traditional Indian approach to phonetic writing. I'm trying to search this book. I'm not able to find it. So if you get it, also please share it with me. And so this Borsboom only refers to this particular book. He says he got this thought from Vakankar's book only. All right. So if you're interested, you can look it up. And also, if you happen to lay your hands on that, I would request you to share it with me as well. All right. Okay. Fine. So I mentioned Panini's name, right? Panini Maharshi. He, for the first time, came up with a set of sutras to describe the Sanskrit language. All right. So he wanted various groups of letters, which he was using in his work. So what he did, anyway, this Varnamala, which is familiar with, this is the same in most of all Indian languages, except maybe Tamil, but Tamil also has a similar structure, very much similar to this. Anyhow, so he came up with a different ordering, which is famous under the name of Maheshwara Sutra or Shiva Sutra. So it is in this format. Okay, I1, Rilrik, A-on, I-ouch, Hayavarat, Lan, Nyamangananam, Jabhai, Gadhadash, Jabagadadash, Kapha Chatata, Chatatav, Kapai, Shashasar, Hal. Okay, there are 14 such sutras. And so one Leela madam in Bangalore, what she has done, she has produced a play, and this is available on YouTube for everybody to watch, where she has taken many small children, and to each of these children, she gives them the role of each of these letters. All right, so they come and then they dance, and then they give some information about these letters. Okay, so if you have some free time, I would encourage you to go and watch that play. It's called Shiva Sutra Jala. It was done in Kannada, maybe Hindi, a few other languages as well. You can have a look. Okay, so what is the structure of C? The end markers are with the halant. Okay, they don't have the ending swara, and all the other consonants have an akara. This is only mainly for ease of pronunciation. Okay, so you can see here. All right. So here the advantage of this particular sutra is you can form what are known as pratyaharas. So for example, one example is ach. Okay, so when Panini uses ach somewhere, what he means is, so there are two letters here, a and ch, right? So you start from this a because a is the first one, and ch, you search for where ch is the end marker, ch. So this is what. Okay, so ach basically refers to all those letters starting from a till ch. Okay, you take all that, but you leave out all the end markers. Okay, so you get a, e, u, r, l, a, o, I, o. All right, so that is what you get by ach. And if you notice carefully, these are all the swaras or the vowels. Okay, so wherever Panini wants to say vowel, he will just say ach. Okay, similarly, hal, if you say ha is here and la is here, so you have to take all the letters in between ha and la and omit all the end markers. You will get all the consonants. Okay, so this is so famous that if there is somebody who speaks Telugu in the audience, you will know that in Telugu also, for vowels, people just refer to it as achulu, and for consonants, people will say hallu, right? So this is where it comes from. All right. Similarly, you can say al. You can start from a here and la here and take all the letters, all the varnas. That is one. And there are very particular ones which you can take also. Hush and khar. Right. Hush, for example, is ha is here and sh is here. So you have ha yavara la nyamanganana jabha gadha jabagadada. All right. So these letters you can just call them as hush. Similarly, you have khar. So kha is here and r is here. So all these letters will be called khar. Okay, in this manner, Panini is able to form around 41 groups of letters. And the best part about this is easily, if you are able to commit this Maheshwara Sutrani to memory, immediately you will be able to find out what are the constituent varnas of any particular pratyahara. All right. Then, if you just notice that this also has a particular structure, which I've tried to kind of show it here with the different colors. So first, as you can expect, all the swaras will be done. Then we go to the Avargiya Vyanjana, right? The Yaralava series, right? And then we come to the fifth column, right? And even here, there's a particular structure, right? The second row comes first, then the fifth, right? 2, 5, 1, 3, and then 4. Okay, that is also pretty much followed, right? Then you have the fourth column coming up, right? Jabhai, right? Gha, dha, dhash, right? Again, you have 2, 5, 1, 3, 4, right? Jabagadadash, jabagadadash, right? Khapachadash. So similarly, that pattern you can see here. Okay, so that is a pattern with Maheshwara Sutrani. Okay, and what is the use of doing such an elaborate Sutrani? I'll just take one or two examples based on time. So there is one Panini Sutra called as Iko Yanachi. All right, so this is for the Yand Sandhi. This is simply called as Yand Sandhi. And Panini gives just these two words to describe this particular Sandhi, Iko Yanachi, right? What does it mean? When you expand this Sutra into normal intelligible Sanskrit, you will get this Ikaha Sthane Yand Syat Achipare, right? Ikaha Sthane. Sthane means in the place of. In the place of ik, right? Achipare, when there is a vowel in front. So here ach is there, right? You have to notice, right? Achipare, when there is a vowel in front, then yand syat. Okay, yand will be the result. Okay, if I were to simply say it in English, running English, I will say replace ik characters by yand characters when the ik character is followed by ach character. All right, so this is what Panini means by saying iko yanachi. Okay, and this is famously known as Yand Sandhi. All right. Now, looking at this Maheshwara Sutrani, can you tell me what are the characters which will correspond to ik? Right? How do you get it? So you have to start with E, right? Keep going till you hit the end marker K. All right. And you have to drop all end markers in between, right? So you have E, U, R, L. Okay, so that's what you have. So that is ik. Okay, then you have to look for yan. Ya is here and is here. So you have ya, ver, la. All right, so now done that. So what happens whenever you are having a ik character followed by a vowel, ach, right? The ik character will get replaced by the yan character. And here, interestingly, both ik and yan have only 4 constituent varnas. Okay, so how do you replace? You have to go for the corresponding replacement. All right, so let us take a few examples. For example, if I want to do this particular sandhi, yadi, api, right? So just split up all the various constituent varnas, especially the last one here and the first one there. Okay, so this will be yad plus e, that will become yadi, and api, e and a coming together, right? So this condition is satisfied. So now I can do the end sandhi. So what I should do, I should replace ye with ya. Okay, so this becomes yadyapi. Okay, this ikara will go away. In this place, yakara will come. So that becomes yadyapi. Okay, so similarly, take another example, anu, aya, ayaha. Then you take take this swara separately. So you have an plus u plus a plus yaha. Right, u plus a, again you have the same condition. U is there in ik, a is there in ach. So this ik will get replaced with yan, and for u you have to replace with va. So you have anvayaha. All right. Okay, so one more, maybe last example for this particular one. We have matranumatihi. You have matru plus rikara. Then you have the akara here. So again, r is there in ik, a is there in ach. So you can do the replacement. R has to be replaced by r. Okay, so you have matranumatihi. Okay, so this is how the end sandhi works. And here the number of characters in ik and yan were same. So you could replace them respectively. Okay. Okay, so one more quick example if I have the time. So this is famously called as Jashtva Sandhi. The sutra is Jhalam Jashwante. Okay. So it says, if you put it in free-flowing Sanskrit, it says Jhalam Sthane Jashasyat Ante. Ante is Padante at the end of a word. So replace Jal by Jash at the end of a word. All right. So Jal, you can see what are the constituent characters. Jha is here. So La is here. So starting from Jha to La. All right. So that is a huge list. Then Jash is just here, right? So Ja is here, Sha is here. So you have only 5 letters here. Okay. So now you have to replace Jal with Jash at the end of a word. That's it. Okay. So for example, if you have Dik plus Ambara. Okay, Dik means the direction, Ambara means cloth. So how do you do this sandhi? Can someone tell me? Because here, this ka is there, right? Ka is there inside this jhal, but we have to choose a word, letter or varna in jash and replace. Okay, and here we can't do one-to-one replace because the number of characters in jhal is more than in jash, right? So what do? You have to go for similarity, right? So in these 5 varnas, which is that varna which is most similar to ka, you have to find and replace. Okay, so you know very well this ga is in the same row as ka. So naturally that is the most similar. So this will become Digambaraha. All right. Then similarly we have ach.
Sir, we have lost your voice. We are not able to hear you. Rajat sir, we are not able to hear you. Okay.
Yeah, was I audible so far? Just in the last minute?
No, not really, not really. We missed you.
We lost you in the second one.
Acha, not a problem.
The second
Okay, here
sentence.
anyhow, you can see that the gel characters are more in number compared to the just characters, right? So these gel characters which come towards the end of the first word have to be replaced by the just characters. Okay, so how do you select which character in the just will replace the character in the gel? And for that, we have to look at similarity. Okay, so Panini uses the word savarna. Okay, savarna means similar. All right, and how do you define what is savarna? What is similarity? He says tulyasya prayatnam savarnam. Okay, tulya means something that is matching, right? Tulana kare, you have heard in Hindi, right? Tulya. Asya literally means face. So here we have to take it as a position in the mouth where the sound originates. Okay, asya is the place of origin, and prayatna is the effort which you make when you utter that particular word. Okay, so there are various prayatnas which are there. One is called as bahya prayatna and abhyantara prayatna. Maybe probably I should not be talking too much about it. Let me just maybe briefly mention. There's something called vivara, where you open the mouth when you say it. Samvara, when you close the mouth. Nada and ghosha happen when you are uttering the soft vowels. Okay, aghosha happens when you are uttering hard vowels. Right, this is also called as karkasha. Then alpa prana, mahaprana, I'm pretty sure you are well known. Right, in the Vargiya Vyanjana, the 1, 3, 5, they will be the alpa prana, 2 and 4 columns, and also the shell characters will be mahaprana. And then Swarita is something which you encounter in the Vedas when you are doing the pitches, various pitch, low pitch, consonants. When you come to the vowels, not vowels, sorry. This is something which happens inside the mouth. Again, there are 5 types of prayatnas which happen. Sprishta essentially means touch. Okay, all the Vargiya Vyanjanas, the tongue will touch one part or the other of the mouth. Okay, so they're all Sprishta. Then you have Ishat Sprishta, a very brief touching, as though it may not even be there. That is the yan characters, right? Yara lava, very short touch of the tongue with the palate. Then we have Ishad Vivrita. Vivrita is essentially opening of the mouth, slight opening of the mouth. That is happening with all the vowels when you say, right? And slight opening happens when you are talking about the last 4 characters. Shasha, sir. Shasha, sir. Okay, and then akara is a very peculiar thing. Akara is put as samvrita. So when you are saying akara, if you want to say it correctly, the right way in Sanskrit, you should not be opening your mouth. Okay, samvrita is essentially closing the mouth. Okay, and this is where you can see a lot of variations will be there in pronunciation, right? In the South India, people make it elongated, right? They say Rama, right? If you go to the East India, they will make this sound like O, like Ramu, something they say. And then in North India, people just swallow the ending akara. They just say Ram, right? So that is why this akara is slightly tricky, right? So that is why it is a different prayatna is given. It's called samvrita, where the mouth has to be not too much open, almost closed actually. Okay, so they are the various efforts which you have to put in uttering the various varnas. And maybe this is my last slide. So here, one important thing which Panini focuses on is what is called as karaka. That is the central theme of his entire composition on grammar. And this is something which is of value even today. When people talk about computational linguistics, machine translation, if you use this concept of karaka, this will be very, very useful. And then Panini uses this meta language in his works, which is today famously known as the formal language, right? So this, in one of the sessions, Goku sir also mentioned this. So the Bacchus Nor format and so on. And this is where we find a few algorithms here, right? In the briefly, the 2 Sandhi rules, which I just explained, you can see a nice algorithm which is happening, right? Although this is not meant for a computer, but even for a human, this is algorithmic, right? Okay, and then this is going to be very, very brief. In around 4,000 sutras, Panini covers the entire Sanskrit language which was spoken at his time. And then there is this concept of anuvritti. So what he says is, for example, here we have this particular sutra, right? I just mentioned, Iko Yanachi. This achi right? If it is to be used in the next sutra, he will not explicitly write it there. He says, Achi, you take it from the previous. Okay, that kind of thing. That is called as anuvritti, where whenever you find that a particular sentence or a sutra is incomplete, he just says you take that word which will complete it from the previous sutra. Okay, that way he's made this entire work very, very brief, and he has made it in such a manner that it will be very easy for you to commit it to memory and then use it on the fly. So once you memorize this, it is like having a dictionary or the grammar book with you. Presentation, and if there is time for a few questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Well, sir, actually, we are already 5 minutes extra. So, because we had to end our session at 3, maybe a question or two. Rajat, sir?
Yeah, sure. I'm
Can
available.
we take a question or two? If
Yeah,
in
definitely.
case...
I'm available.
Yes. Anusha, would you like to put forward a question?
So it's just a observation that I made. So back in the day in 8th to 10th grade, we had to learn this thing called Sandhi Vichhed. So there we used to sit and memorize Dig plus Ambar, Digambar. So we never really understood the logic as to how it was happening. Now I finally understood it once I'm done with my exams and everything.
Okay.
That's really true, because once you know the logic behind it, it becomes so easy, isn't it?
Yeah, I wish I knew it back then. Things would have been so much simpler.
This is so nice. Yes, certainly. Sri Hari, would you like to share something?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I would like to know something.
Please go ahead, Sri Hari.
Sir, what do you think of the effect? Sir, I noticed a couple of times that while producing Sanskrit sounds, it is somewhat different from all other languages. What do you think the effect of Sanskrit sounds on our oral cavity or in our breathing process?
Oh, yeah. So what I was telling, firstly, I don't think I agree with your statement that it is different. Of course, there are few letters which are there only in Sanskrit, which are not there in the others because people have not paid so much attention to preserve those sounds. But more or less, it is well preserved, actually. If you see, more than 90% of this alphabet is going to be common between all Indian languages. But yeah, what exactly was your question? So basically, we can say that this phonetics or Shiksha Shastra is taken very seriously in Sanskrit. So if somebody has problems with speech, you can use this as a therapy itself. So I know some people who are working like that. And another thing is, maybe I forgot to mention this, that we had a number of scripts, right? People sometimes often think that Devanagari is the only script for Sanskrit. That is not the case. We have various old manuscripts which are available in Sharda, for example. In some of the Kashmiri manuscripts, you can see a lipi called Sharda. Of course, Telugu, Grantha lipi used to be there in Tamil Nadu. In Kannada, we have Kannada lipi, and then we have the Tigdari lipi also in the coastal regions. So there are various scripts which people have written. Of course, if you visit some of the temples in Tamil Nadu, you'll see that using the Tamil script, people have written Sanskrit. Okay, essentially the Grantha script. In Malayalam also people can write Sanskrit. And of course, in my presentation, I just showed using the Roman script itself, right? By having the diacritical marks, accented marks, you will be able to represent. Okay, I see one question here by faculty.
Chat. Yes.
Yeah, will you please throw light on Dravidian languages with respect to Sanskrit? I don't know what exactly the intent there is. See, for example, at least in Kannada, Telugu, even Malayalam to some extent, you can just take a Sanskrit word and use it in a sentence and it'll be perfectly okay, right? People say, oh, you're talking a refined language, right? So that's how, even in Tamil, most of the time you will see adhikam, shigram, these kind of words directly from Sanskrit which will be used. right? Of course, they say in the olden Tamil, the use of Sanskrit words was lesser, but I don't know. Yeah, but one thing is there. In Tamil, what they have done is this, they use one single symbol for ka, kha, ga, gha. Okay, all the four varnas, they have a single symbol. Okay, so while writing it is easy, but while reading, if you don't know the language, then it will be difficult to read. Okay, that limitation is there in the Tamil script, which is there today. That is the reason they used another script called Grantha to you write Sanskrit. So there you don't have this confusion. All right. Okay. Any other question?
Let's see, so if we can find something from the YouTube. Maybe Sujoy sir, if you could,
Excuse
Sujoy
me, sir.
Deshpande sir, could you find something in the YouTube?
Excuse me, ma'am. Shall I
Yes.
ask one more thing?
Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir,
Go
while
ahead.
in temples, I have noticed that scholars pronouncing Veda in a different way. What is the reason behind that, sir? It's not Sanskrit actually, but the pronunciation is a bit different.
Okay, what do you mean by different?
No, so they stress and there is on some words. And why does they do so?
Yeah, there are a couple of reasons for that. One is in Veda, you should preserve it the way it has been composed. Okay, so that's a oral tradition, right? So they want to preserve it exactly how it was when it was composed for the first time. That is one. And secondly, there are these intonations. You have the swarasthana, right? High pitch, low pitch. That is one. And thirdly, the Veda usually, when you chant it, you would chant it for continuously for half an hour, 1 hour, even 3 hours, something like that, right? So when you want to chant for a long period of time, you have to chant it at a pitch which is slightly higher than what you would do for speaking. Okay, so continuously, if you are talking for 1 hour, right, you will feel a little tired, right? So
Yes,
therefore, if you don't want to feel that much tired and you want to go on, if you do it at a slightly higher pitch, you'll be able to do that. Yeah, I guess these are the three reasons. If at all you find any difference, once you get into it and then you see, it is not so different actually. Right. Only thing is there'll be intonations. So certain letters will have to be said at higher pitch and certain at lower pitch. It is a primitive version of music, you can say. Right. Today in music we have 7 notes. It's Saptaswara. In Vedas you will find 3 to 4 swaras maximum. Of course, unless you're talking about Samaveda. Samaveda is a little more complicated. But the other Vedas, Rig and Yajur, and Atharvana Veda also, you will find 3 or max 4 swara. So you can think of it as primitive version of music.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's so nice. Though I have one more mic unmuted, but meanwhile I'll just make an announcement that at 3:15 we begin with the health session. So all those participants and children who would like to proceed for a small break may do so, and all those who have to ask a question can continue to. But within a minute or so, we'll be handing over the session